I'll tell you, I can solve the crime. My face was really pretty and I was very beautiful and I was a starseed type girl and I walked around with a very gentle energy, helping people and was in love with pets. Suddenly, some rough gangsters were putting in cameras in my house and filming me, and I was getting drugged. And then I realized it's actually got something to do with the police or some sort of tracking system because I caught the girls tracking me with GPS and it was coming out of Glen Innes. Okay, and I called my uncle and I said something's wrong, and I felt like I was on meth. I was really high, and it was my brain was like, and it wasn't mental illness; it was substance. And I just was like ringing up people later, like Sam, like, can you come and find the cameras? He said, download all these apps on your phone. They find infrared signals out of your home. And I said, can it really just work off your telephone? He said, yep. So, and I found one camera in there, but I couldn't find it. I said, I can't find it. It's so coming from where the TV is. And he said, oh, I can't get out there today. I don't know what you're going to do. Maybe you can ring somebody else to help you at the moment. And I just said, oh, I'm kind of worried because, it felt like I was drugged and I just feel like my ex got involved with a gang and I'm being abused. And he's still involved with that gang. And they're still selling massive amount of meth. And I was right, and nobody helped me. And so I got failed from the system while those girls were filming me daily. You're not a spring chicken, you're very old now. And then she put me all over Facebook that I was a prostitute when I wasn't. They were part of a prostitute ring and were profiling him, and they've got a massive sex trafficking ring down there. And then they invaded Christchurch and they went around acting like they were friendly girls. So half of them were prostitutes, half of them were governmental girls. And then they just took over the whole town and made me the hated one, a joke. They've got all these deep fakes that misled people. They were streaming me and saying all this stuff on lots of gang stalking. There were lots of TikToks, I was an animal, all these kind of things. And then there were massive amount of bullying jokes like Katie Hopkins channels. Lots of this kind of stuff and lots of going to these comedy nightclubs bullying me that I was an ugly old weathered face every day and filming me on if I'm lying down in my room, they're streaming me, filming me. What a fucking thick bitch. Can't you get up and do anything today? It's so fucking hard to do anything today. A bunch of them, they all just sat there degrading me while I was like grieving my family being killed through like lots of lies. And I need to feel and be in tune and in alignment with my heart, and they won't let me. They want to keep bullying me and put me under pressure. Then every time I went to a job, they were sending all this stuff through that I was like not employable, and I was. A lot of times, even one time I got a job at an apricot picking thing and she rang my reference. She goes, yeah, start tomorrow. I rang her back for something else and she said, oh no, I can't have you here. I don't want any drama here. I didn't say anything. So they started this blacklist and blacklisting me. These were all causing problems. And then they just started these social groups of a watch group, this Marvel rebel motorcycle gang, and excluded me. And so I went to Auckland. Then he had some rape video in the back of the Nova Festival of John. He sexually threw me out to the wolves after and made me hated, and they built a massive that's when they built their social network and killed me off with some sex tape that I was a fucking dog. And that's when I got murdered, all down there around October 7th, 2023. And I was in Auckland trying to get a job through that course. And then they started going around making out I was somebody else, backwards, Ruth went and took my family, the government went and took my family and were teaching my family that I'm lower class than Zara. They were pretty much chaining me to these women and yoking me to women and saying they were higher class than me after they gave them a massive makeover. And then they started making out that I was a jealous, vengeful, dark-minded woman, and that made them all hate me. And then they just, the USA started a massive, war over food and did a massive regime. Then Kayla and those three girls went all over the world taking hold of my emails and John of every person, every organization, and then they were making sure that they were the high table and I was lower class. And in that time, all these gang stalking stories have been coming out, and it was real manipulation. These stories really dark. So I would have a normal life. I would be going out trying to find, I was really proactive finding a job. That's why it's such an abusive situation where he's saying you're fucking lazy. It's like, no, I'm not. You're a fucking mental abuser. I already went and found a job for 3 years and you wouldn't give me one. And then you won't give me fucking rape victims help because you keep saying that I'm like, you keep making out I'm a liar about everything. You won't let me talk to anyone. It's just they barricade me from talking. They tell the whole world I'm a liar, but they won't let me have any emotional connection. It's abuse. Like the whole time they would take it, the Warner Brothers was also giving everybody a crane up. So they were putting them higher up in love and throwing me down the stairs. And they put Kiki in a higher position than me. And those other two women. And it was all manipulation. It was really abusive. And so I went overseas, and that's when I got kidnapped, because that's when they've gotten hold of my vagina. And that's ever since then they've been doing massive sexual assaults and massive media shaming that I've got a used up burger, a ruined burger, and it's not fair because I didn't. And I want somebody accountable for that, because it's really abusive to ruin somebody's vagina and their future of love by injecting them, trying to inject me with HIV and chemicals and letting all these men degrade me in public and having an exclusive thing where you just worked to make me look like I was a massive predator of John when I wasn't. They preyed on me. He's part of that Warner Brothers crane factory where they were putting him into a higher class. And then on top of that, it's like there was some Halloween gangster rat raping me. I think that was the Hells Angels. Well, that's what the Samoan girls said down in the city, because I said I want to kill myself. Have you got a gun? And she said, why would you say that? And I said, because the police aren't fucking doing anything and I don't want to be on the street. I don't want to be homeless. I said, I'm happy in Australia, and they just went around and killed me to everybody that I was trash and a dog, and that they just held me hostage as an animal in a stench thing and then drown me in a river that I'm a no one. And she goes, you can't give up. Like, she goes, I've got a friend that's part of the headhunters. Do you want me to call him? He's got a house out on the North Shore. Maybe he can crash there. And I said, oh, well, can you ask him for a gun? And he said, why? She goes, why would somebody like you want a gun? I said, I don't want to live anymore. I said, I already told that guy in that mental institution when I didn't need mental health help that I want a gun. I've had enough. I don't want to be bullied. I'm a fucking dog face and not allowed to talk to people. This is real blackmail and it's abuse. And that's where you have to start asking, why is Poppy allowed to do that? Why is Kiki allowed to do that? Or Warner Brothers? Why are they doing that to me? Like, you can't just hold me hostage and crane everybody up higher class and say that, build a beautiful tower for Poppy and say that I was rough. I was a rough rider. I'm rough. I'm ugly. I'm dog. I'm nasty. And I wasn't. I'm not. You've made me somebody else in all of these texts, all of these things, and I'm not that person. This is me desperate. But I wasn't before. How come all of my diary shows consistent effort to get a job and educate, and I'm educated. If you read all of my INFJ and all that kind of stuff, it says you've got a beautiful consciousness of a heart and a soul. It's everything to do with my numerology is my soul, and you won't let me have that peaceful energy. You're kind of harassing me all day and not letting me, and that's why I'm asking, please help me ask why they've stopped having anyone care about me. The BBC is a big part of it, and that shows that there was no democracy and a civil rights issue, because if there was any news about me, it shows that it's a civil rights issue, because nobody puts news about somebody that's just walking around doing nothing. Like, there would be no news. So please help me. I want to know, where's this fragile, why are they getting fragile treatment when my work is to do with deep sensitivity and healing? You know, I'm not allowed anything. They're just bullying me out of everything. They just keep making it I'm mentally ill, and I want the proof of the gut, because the girls sent me a thing that the guys had ruined my guts with lots of chemicals, and they were chemically abusing, like, me as a kid, and she excludes me out of everything. She keeps me out of everything. She puts me in a box and excludes me out of everything that was how I saw my identity. Like, I always was going to church. I was always trying to find a job. And I was always out having fun and like relaxing and trying to know people. And she stopped that for me. That's why I'm stressed, because she won't let me know anyone. She just tells everybody I'm a schizophrenic or a nut job. It's kidnapping. You can't hold people hostage. Then the police held me into a train and chained everybody in the community that I was junk quality and Ruben and Poppy are in love and she's the number one. And I just got abused again. That's what's happened to me. All these things. And I'm not getting any support. I'm alone this whole time, hated. All on these chats, all on these things and poo videos everywhere. It's just a massive virus all over the world to make me hate it. And the whole time I'm alone and suffering because I don't have help. And that's not my identity. How come in my life I've been doing all this volunteer Samaritan work? They're treating me like a slave, and the only reason they kidnapped me is to make sure they could ensure that I was dead, so that none of these people will help me or love me ever again, and make sure all these organisations don't offer me any support because my friends have done a defamation about my true colours in India. This is all true, because he went around in some book and it changed my reputation, these books. And also these videos of me talking to myself. He made out that I'm mentally ill, and he also made out that I'm rageful all the time, but that's not my real identity as a calm person. So this is where the climate started changing and people hated me. Then he was going around telling people to not trust me. Then I'm not getting any rights because they're saying massive motorcycle gangs of China are going around stopping me being able to have my rights. It's a real abuse of power. It's not fair how I'm being treated at all, because I'm being really fucked over on all cases, and it's better off to be dead. It's just kind of like I'm just being tortured by women that were very ugly, that went straight into pop star mode and had all these plastic surgeries and made a school that I was a fucking dog every day and kicked me out of my own friendship group and are pushing me out of my own country. That's the unfairness of it all. And how am I meant to show integrity? I'm just talking about my feelings. Is horrible. They're making out I wasn't a caring person. I don't deserve to be a caregiver. But that's the whole point of my life. I changed from being somebody that was just outwardly focused to inwardly and what people need and trying to be there for them and having company, and I'm not allowed to do that. Like, you won't let me have anything I want. You're standing as a barrier to my heart, to everything that I want and need. Why?